There it goes. It's recording.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirming. You can never tell. All right. Hi, everyone. We'll get started shortly. Thanks for arriving early. Feel free to grab lunch. Started so that we have the full hour. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Julie Chabdi. I'm the Associate Director of the Health and Wellbeing Program with the USC Workwell Center and your host for today. Welcome to our last session of the Navigating Towards a Successful Financial Future series. We're really pleased to have you all here. And in honor of May Mental Health Awareness Month, the topic today is connecting financial and mental well-being. Throughout today's session, you're welcome to use the chat to make comments or ask questions specific to today's topic, as well as the Q&A feature. At the end, we'll have time for questions and answers, as well as resources that we'll be sharing with you. So please make sure you mute your Zoom to minimize any background noise. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our co-lead of our Healthy Campus Financial Wellness Subcommittee, Professor Jana Wong from the Marshall School of Business. Jana?
Thank you, Julie. Hello and welcome, everybody. As Julie said, I am co-chair with Dr. Peter Carden of the Financial Wellness Subcommittee for the USC Healthy Campus Advisory Board. I apologize for not being able to attend the previous ones. They coincided with my teaching schedule, but I'm here now, and I'm happy to open the presentation, our final presentation of the financial wellness webinars. I'd like to first acknowledge and thank our incredible leader, Julie, without whom our healthy campus would not be so healthy. So I would also like to acknowledge all members of this subcommittee for their hard work this year. It's so gratifying to know that these fine staff and faculty members um, work so hard, and because all of us acknowledge the importance of financial wellness. And since May is Mental Health Awareness Month, to us, there's no better topic to close our webinar series than by learning how managing our personal financial wellness not only benefits our finances, but our mental health as well. So we're happy to close our webinar series with an excellent panel of participants. Ann Olin and Emily Watson, both from TIAA Institute, and our very own Deborah Jones, USC's Faculty Retirement Navigator from Academic Affairs in the Provost Office. These well-informed ladies are here to discuss the intersection of financial wellness and how it coincides with our mental wellness. So, are we ready to get started?
Now we're ready.
Go.
Yeah. Thank you for those opening remarks, Peter and Jana. I don't know if Peter's here, but I want to acknowledge him as well, and all our subcommittee members. As a reminder, don't forget to stretch. Feel free to stand up, move anytime during the session in any manner that feels best for you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Anne and Emily from TIAA.
I'll get us started. So I'm Anne, and next to me on my screen anyway is Emily Watson. And together we manage programs and partnership initiatives for the TIAA Institute. For those of you who may not know us, the Institute is a think tank within TIAA, and we conduct research in the areas of financial literacy and longevity literacy, lifetime income, retirement plan design, lots of things like that. And it's a pleasure to be here today with all of you, and thank you for the invitation. What we talk about today will hopefully boost your knowledge and comfort in taking some steps to create and implement a holistic plan to support your mental health in connection with financial wellness. We'll explore a little bit the relationship between mental health and financial well-being and the impact that relationship has on our lives overall. We'll then discuss creating a plan to ensure more positive outcomes. Just having a plan and knowing resources available to you before you need them creates peace of mind, and that's a very critical foundational step we can all take. And finally, we'll close out the conversation with an overview of some resources you can access immediately. If you go to the next slide, please. It seems there's lots more attention these days being given to mental health, as demonstrated by just these few headlines here, whether it's in schools, in the media, in the workplace. And again, these are just some examples of the headlines. That's a good thing. But Emily, I'm going to ask you, what do you think's prompting this? Why all the attention on mental health?
Well, we can't ignore the toll that the pandemic took on so many dimensions of our lives, including our mental health. But on the positive side, it's motivated people to speak up about their needs and to ask for help. And in doing so, this has helped normalize and destigmatize mental health issues broadly. And we know that employers are much more focused on employees' holistic well-being. In fact, research shows that employees' job satisfaction goes well beyond compensation to include things like culture, community, belonging, and connection to mission. All of these things are increasingly being considered as part of employee recruitment, retention, and engagement efforts.
Agree 100%, and couple that with the fact that an increasing number of people are struggling to attain financial security that has to last for much longer lifespans. I think I mentioned at the very beginning the term longevity literacy. We don't often take into account the fact that we're going to live much longer than we probably anticipate. Just since Social Security was signed, the Social Security Act was signed in 1935, life expectancy has increased by about 17 years. The longest lived person on record reached an age of 122. And while that seems far-fetched, we are all marching toward 100-year lives. So there's more pressure on individuals today to earn and save at higher rates. We're constantly hearing we have to save for retirement, and we at TIAA couldn't underscore that enough, especially with consideration of these longer life expectancies. So we all have to begin to think about health and wealth as two sides of the same coin. And remember that we don't have to figure out all the steps to get to financial well-being on our own. If you have a TIAA account, for example, no matter how confident you're feeling or not confident, you can talk to a TIAA financial consultant to help you determine which strategies are best for you, and it won't cost you anything. So that's some low-hanging fruit, the very first step you can take on that path to mental well-being, financial well-being. Reach out to a financial consultant. But Emily, why don't you kick us off? And if you go to the next slide.
Thanks. So before we jump into the quiz, let's start by building a shared understanding of some of the topics we'll discuss today. So for purposes of our portion of the conversation, the way that we define mental health is a state of well-being that includes our emotional, psychological, and social health. We all have mental health, and it's a continuum, and there are numerous points in our lives where we have stressors that may need some support. And then financial wellness is the ability to manage your finances and feel secure and free to make those choices in the present and the future. It involves taking control of your money rather than letting it take control of you. So when we think about that, just to draw the connection between mental health and financial wellness, which is the following can be an effect of poor mental health on financial decision-making. Feel free to just note it down or pop it in the chat. So is it A, risky investments, B, impulsive spending, or C, debt accumulation? So that's right. The answer is all of the above. I know that's, might be intuitive and obvious. It's, again, just connecting the dot of how interrelated all of these states of our mental health and our decision-making really are. And so we know that also that poor financial decisions also and behaviors also have an effect on mental health. In other words, it's bi-directional. So next slide, please.
So what does that really mean? Basically, we're saying that mental health and financial health have a proportional relationship. The better your mental health, the better equipped you are to make sound financial decisions, especially for the long term. And the more positive your financial state, the less stress you will experience arising from this part of your life. Financial stresses such as debt or unexpected expenses can cause or exacerbate mental health challenges, as we said at the top of the call. I know for myself, when my head is not in a good place, a lot of extra Amazon packages might show up on my doorstep. And I make myself feel better by spending. And then I feel worse when my stress level goes up upon receiving the bills for those frivolous purchases. So this kind of relationship can lead to, between mental health and financial stress, can lead to impulsive spending, my Amazon shopping sprees, poor financial planning, not having rent money or a mortgage payment set aside when the 1st or the 15th of the month rolls around, and increased vulnerability to stress-induced short-term financial decisions, even things like placing bets online or taking money out of savings meant for other things, like retirement. This seems to be fairly common, as shown on this slide. 92% of individuals who say they are experiencing mental health challenges report that this spills over into their ability to make financial decisions. But also 42% of US adults report that money negatively impacts their mental health. So as these stats show, poor mental health threatens the ability to make sound financial decisions, and it's more common than we may think. So just acknowledging that, recognizing that those feelings that you push back are common and that others may be sharing the same kinds of feelings can get you started to take some action. Emily, can you walk us through how these kinds of stats show up in the workplace?
Sure. Next slide, please. So we know that stress not only impacts our personal well-being, and now we've seen decision-making capacity, but it has profound implications for our workplace productivity, engagement, and also affects our personal relationship, our professional performance, in addition to our overall well-being. We know that individuals who are financially stressed are 5 times more likely to be distracted by finances while at work. Furthermore, we also know that financial stress has resulted in a 34% increase overall in absenteeism and tardiness to the workplace. We also know that financially stressed individuals miss about twice as many days each year compared to their unstressed counterparts. And this has an impact of about 1 billion on the global economy. So for those listeners who might be people managers, keep in mind the significant implications of financially induced mental stress on employees' performance. We know also that managers and supervisors can play a critical role in supporting work-life balance and employee mental health, and the ability to provide emotional and practical support, role model healthy behaviors, and redesign work to reduce stress and reduce stigma can be really vital. Next slide, please. So just to provide a little bit of some examples of how this can show up. We know that the relationship between financial decision-making and stress can happen at any stage of life and across income levels. So just to illustrate that, we've mocked up these 3 personas just to help connect some of these dots. And so let's look at the first one, Maria, a 29-year-old, new in her career, has student loan debt, concerned about rising rent, and doesn't feel confident about her emergency savings, often stays up late worrying about bills, but recently her manager has noticed that she's been distracted and calling out sick. In this illustration, what we see here is that Maria's financial stress is affecting her mental health and productivity at work, which mirrors the report's findings that employees with high financial stress are far more likely to report poor mental health and are more likely to feel less engaged at work. We also know that young adults often don't know where to start building their financial foundations, but employers can play a huge role as a trusted source of information. Plus, as we've seen, financial plans can help reduce mental stress. Now, moving to the middle, David, 45-year-old mid-career married with kids. David is juggling a mortgage, saving for college for his kids, and caring for his aging parents. We're all familiar with this, or at least the concept of what it means to be in the sandwich generation. And while he earns a solid salary, he still feels constant pressure to hold it all together. He rarely takes time off, and his anxiety is through the roof. This illustrates that mental health and financial stress happen at any income level and life stage. And we know that higher income employees are not immune. Our report notes that the financial strain affects employees across income level, and that stress is strongly correlated to poor mental health symptoms. Now, lastly, Jamal, the HR director, 52, Jamal's noticed a spike in employee turnover and mental health leave. He used the data available to him and learned that many of the employees were overwhelmed and developed new programming and communications to illustrate the holistic benefits available. So in other words, don't overlook the resources available to you right at your workplace, whether you're in a team lead capacity or not. The fact that USC is hosting this webinar shows that they're invested in supporting this topic and have resources to support everyone. And can you walk us through the next slide on some actions to take?
Sure, and you already teed up maybe the most obvious. It's take advantages of resources like this, and the fact that you all are on this call is a good indication that you're ready to take action. So first and foremost, understand your individual needs. So Emily just walked us through 3 different types of people at different life stages. Think about where you are. What is your reality? Consider family obligations that you have now, as well as think about ones that you should be anticipating so that you can mitigate the financial stresses and the related mental stress that might come without planning. Young parenting, elder care, healthcare services that you may need that may cause undue stress if you don't plan appropriately. For example, as Emily kind of sketched out earlier in your career, when finances are typically more tight, you may be trying to build up savings at the same time that you're trying to pay off student loans. In fact, some of our research, some of the data points that I'll share to just make you feel less alone, 2 in 5 young adults say they are living paycheck to paycheck. Only 33% say they could handle an unexpected expense. In some cases, working parents are paying 8% to 19% of their income on childcare. These statistics aren't meant to be upsetting or frightening. Instead, they're meant to underscore the fact that you can turn to resources in your community, online, and through USC that can help people at this stage of their life feel less stressed by suggesting some additional actions you might take. I mentioned, people in their early career stages, maybe who have young children. I want to also underscore how much stress can come with caregiving on the flip side of the sandwich, for those of us in the sandwich generation, taking care of aging parents or other adult family members. 1 in 5 adults provide uncompensated care for family members. 90% of individuals are financial caregivers, so meaning not only are they running to the drugstore maybe to pick up medications or getting helping ensure that doctor's appointments aren't missed. Financial caregiving means that you're also paying for some of those stops at the pharmacy or the grocery store, or plane tickets when it's your turn to go stay with mom or dad. All of those things can be very stressful, but the stress can be alleviated with some planning. Caregivers on average spend 24 hours per week on caregiving responsibilities. That's a big chunk of time. They spend about 5 years as caregivers, and they spend about $7,500 per year out of pocket on expenses related to caregiving, or 26% of their annual incomes on caregiving activities. That's money that could definitely be put to other uses. We like to first start with some of that could go into retirement savings. The point is, again, planning is the key step to try to mitigate some of the stress and challenges that come with all of those caregiving costs and responsibilities. You might want to develop a checklist. The National Institute on Aging has published a checklist that includes steps individuals need to take and the information and documents that you might want to start assembling now. So that's the National Institute on Aging. You can just Google it and you'll find the checklist. You know, things like making sure you have a will, check. A healthcare and financial power of attorney, check. Thinking ahead of time about how you will support aging parents or an ailing spouse, or I'm thinking about it myself so that my kids may not have to worry so much about that, how they're going to take care of mom and dad. Again, thinking about your own plans for downsizing, where you're going to live as you age. Secondly, in the middle there, know the resources available to you, things like the Wellness Center and webinars such as this one. Explore the other wellness benefits accessible through USC or the broader community, such as on-site medical care and fitness facilities, but also things that may not occur to you, like transportation benefits that can help bring your elderly parents where they need to go, EAP and mental health support, and financial literacy or planning benefits, financial education resources. And finally, seek expertise and apply the knowledge that you gain to help develop your plan. You might develop a wellness team, a set of professionals that you can tap into throughout your life, a financial consultant from TIAA, a coach to help you on your career journey, or an estate planning attorney. Tap into their expertise. Some of that comes with a cost, obviously, but USC offers a lot of wonderful resources. And again, TIAA is here to help as well. Unfortunately, I will underscore again financial education and taking advantage of those resources, because financial literacy remains far too low for too many of us. And there's a direct correlation between low financial literacy and financial stress. The more you know about your basic finances and financial planning, the more confident you're going to feel and the less stress that will come with managing your budget, building a budget. And tapping into those experts, not just once, but regularly, can help to assess your plan's effectiveness as your life circumstances change. You need to make sure that your financial plan reflects your situation as you move through those life stages along the life course. And staying in touch with your wellness team can provide a lot of peace of mind and security. On the next slide, here are some additional resources you might leverage on the left side. And these slides will be distributed to you after the webinar, and there'll be live links to these resources through TIAA. Crafting a budget, we give you access to a financial software, TIAA's 360 financial view, that it can help you get started either on your own, or again, you can get a financial consultant on the phone to walk along that with you. Plan your financial goals. That link will bring you to some goal setting worksheets and give you some tips about how to get started, how to think about your financial goals. The third one, calculate the best ways to pay off your debt, whether it's student loans, credit card debt, taking on additional loans for a mortgage or a car loan. You need to think about that holistically and decide which is good debt, which is not so good debt. Determining how to save for retirement. Again, I can't underscore that enough. Slow and steady can always win the race. Of course, the more you can save, the better, but the point is to get started. It's never too late. Compound interest, we call that a miracle at TIAA, and it is. Even small amounts put in early on will grow before your eyes. And if you do it automatically with increases that go along with your raises, you may not even feel it once you get used to that money coming out of your paycheck. And create an estate plan. At the bottom of this slide, we give you the information on how to schedule an appointment with a TIAA financial consultant. We encourage you all to take advantage of that. On the right-hand side, we think it's important to acknowledge that these are particularly turbulent economic times. In our current environment, more people are struggling to achieve financial health, of course, with contributing factors that include inflation, housing costs, economic instability just prompted by world political events, job insecurity, caregiving, as we mentioned, changing perspectives on what we want in return for the long hours we commit to our jobs. All those things are, more intense somehow today than they were 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. You're not alone. We're all feeling that. And while these items are just examples, we do hope that these resources could be helpful to you. And Emily, why don't you bring us home then?
Thanks. And so I hope that all of these examples have helped connect some dots that you may not have previously considered factors as part of your financial planning, because we know that we're all really familiar with considerations of budget and other financial exercises, but we often overlook how other stressors related to our finances, like caregiving, may impact our ability to make decisions and take action. The good news is, by just becoming more aware of the connection, we'll alleviate some of the stress and able to take more positive forward. So as we close out, please understand that mental health is as real and important as physical health. There are numerous points in our life that will experience financial stressors. Some will come, some will go, some will persist, and some will evolve. I encourage everyone to regularly review your employer-provided retirement plans, financial services, and health benefits. As we move towards 100-year lives, this lifetime income option to create sound financial plans for all of us to get those financial stability and important mental health checks. Many resources available that we've listed here that will be available after the call, thanks to the team, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily and Anne, for that great presentation. We'll pass it now to Deborah Jones. Deborah, we can't hear you.
Working it.
There you go.
Find my slides here. Hold on.
Slides are up.
Great. Okay. I keep losing them. Sorry. Here we are. Okay. Sorry. Again, my topic today is retirement income plans. And the reason I do that today is because I work with our retiring faculty, and we have spent, most of us, both staff and faculty, spend our whole life working along, and we're saving our bundle and every year it grows and grows, generally grows. It goes up and down, but over time it's moving up, and we get to the end of our working life and we say, oh, now we have to generate our income. What do we do? So that's why I'm bringing up retirement income plans. Retirement income plans is a way of visualizing and planning income streams, and is both for your peace of mind and your financial direction. Financial wellness, as we've discussed, and mental health are intertwined, and preparation and planning can create both a sense of direction and strategy, which will give you peace as you transition into retirement. So what are retirement income plans? They provide visual summaries of annual income projections through each year of your retirement. We generally give you a 30-year estimate towards retirement. These are different than retirement savings plans. So the retirement savings plans are what we're generally working with as we're in the workforce. There you see these pie charts, and they have your asset allocations, and they show how long you're going to be working, and they estimate based on your investment style how much money you're going to generate over your lifetime. So think about that and the opposite. So when you get to the end or at your retirement, you have that, again, bucket full of money, and you want to say, how am I going to generate my income? So that's what we're going to focus on. Next slide. So retirement income plan, why it matters. Retirement is the major shift, and it is very disorienting and creates uncertainty for most people, or many people. And the challenge is, the primary one with respect to finances is that you transition from becoming a retirement income saver to a consumer of those funds. And it's a shift to actually go from, oh, I'm adding, and it's growing. I'm pretty happy about that, to now I have to face, I'm going to start taking money out of my money pot. It's a little scary. The other issue that happens with many people is they miss that monthly paycheck or biweekly paycheck. It's disorienting when you've been working for 30 or 40 or 50 years and that's not there anymore. And you have this challenge of, how do I create that peace and that financial transition of developing your own paycheck? So these plans create roadmaps and give you confidence for both budgeting in your retirement years and spending during your entire retirement. Next slide. So you want a next slide? Sorry. Okay, so do we miss a slide? That's all right. You may have missed a slide. That's okay. So there it is. What is a retirement income planner? So a retirement income planner uses a bunch of what they call Monte Carlo simulations to forecast income or possible income based on what assets you have, how you invest, how long you plan to live, and just numerous factors that would affect including historical performances and market data, how much money that your portfolio can generate over time. So the retirement income planners are presented in bar charts, so you get 30 bars that represent 30 years of your life expectancy, and it sums up where your money comes from. So the basis might be Social Security. Some of it will come from your retirement savings account. Some of it will come from maybe retirement, working in retirement, or rental income, or royalties, but whether it will give you a visual representation of where your income in retirement is coming from. This simulation, meaning as you plan these retirement income plans, it will allow you to tweak your savings rate or your spending goals, or when you're going to retire, or if you're going to have a lump sum in that savings practice. Let's say you plan to inherit something, or you're going to sell your house in such and such a year. You can put all of those into that planning process, and that will affect how your annual income looks over time, or the projection looks. Next slide. So this is an example. It's just one slide, but it's a great visual of what a retirement income planner is. It's a retirement income planner from TIAA. The other vendors have these products as well, but this is what we have today, and I love it. It represents, first of all, it's 30 years. So if you go from left to right, it's a couple. They've retired for 30 years, and it shows us in the first 2 years, they're approximately, I think, 67 and 68. They don't have Social Security. They're living off, the yellow represents post-retirement income. Again, that might be work, that might be rentals, that might be royalties, but it's basically money that you're generating in retirement. The light blue represents voluntary portfolio withdrawals. So that might be money from your retirement accounts, or it might be money from your bank accounts, or your non-retirement investment accounts. But basically, light blue is still your assets, but not necessarily your retirement assets. And again, yellow is from income in retirement. If you go to the third year, where you see that blue bar, the blue bar represents Social Security. So each of these people start taking Social Security the same year. And again, it goes across their entire life, and it rises with inflation, as does their income. So they initially start out with $164,000 in income. And again, this planner takes you through inflation, and theoretically, your assets are growing and your income is growing along with inflation. The third factor that you see here is the light blue, again, is your portfolio withdrawals. The yellow is Social Security. The blue is Social Security. The yellow is your work or other outside income like real estate. And the green is your RMDs, your required minimum distributions. They start at age 73. Okay, so through your whole retired life, after age 73, you are required to take required minimum distributions based upon your age and your longevity, or when they think you're going to expire, and based upon your account balance. So as you see, these people's incomes just follow year by year by year by year by year. When you get to the third to the last year, what happens is in the second to the last year is one of the partners passes away. And the way you see that is their Social Security income drops. Okay? So that gives you an idea of what's happening where and when. But again, this is just a visual reminder of how your income is generated. And why that's important, again, is you've saved your whole life, you have this cash bucket, and it's hard to spend. And this gives you a guide to say, yes, you are going to spend it down, but some of your income will come from outside assets such as working or rentals income or royalty income. You know you're going to have your Social Security income, but anyway, it gives you a visual reminder of where your assets are coming from. I've worked with a number of people that have had trouble spending their retirement accounts. It's just difficult because they've saved so long. There's a bit of fear related that they're going to lose it, or the other objective is many people want to leave all of their assets to their children. So this plan gives you some structure as to how you can spend. Again, another reason that you want these is if you're a couple in particular, and one of you passes away, you still have a guide. You have a process of how's this all going to work? What do we need to adjust here? And it's not just pie in the sky or envelopes in the mail. It's actually a visual representation of where your monthly cash or annual cash is being generated. Next slide. So this is the major caveat, or the caveat is that retirement income plans are guides. They're not guarantees. They need to be adjusted and tweaked. So we suggest you review your plan annually or biannually for adjustments. The market might be favorable and enhance your income projections, or the opposite, it might suggest tweaking your expenses to stay on track. But you really have to check on that biannually. Again, it's a tool. It's casted. It's done really well, and it will absorb some. It'll hold you through some market variations, but not major ones. So you just want to look at it, use it as a tool and a guide. Next slide. Back slide. So what I want to tell you is all of our retirement vendors have a retirement income plan tool. So Fidelity's is called the Retirement Income Plan. TIA's is called the Retirement Income Illustrator. Let me see. And Vanguard has a plan called the Vanguard Withdrawal Coach, and it goes along with the Retirement Plan Paycheck. And again, this may be not useful to you if you're in your 30s or 40s, but as your parents face retirement or transition to retirement, sit down and help them. Tell them to speak to their advisors and say, hey, do you have a retirement income plan? Do you have an illustrator that we can work through this to give my parents some peace and a guide as they transition from being income generators to income consumers? Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. That was so useful. I think all of us should definitely utilize a retirement income planner. I'll pass it over to Carrie from our retirement team to do the next slide.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see a full room here. My name is Carrie Marroquin, and I'm with the Retirement Administration Office. And we have a variety of resources here at USC to help you to manage your finances now while preparing for the future. Those include consultations with TIAA, Fidelity, and Vanguard, as well as meeting either virtually or in person with our retirement planning specialists who can help you look at all of your financial benefits from the university and make plans around those. Additionally, USC has the USC Credit Union, which has a variety of resources as well. And anyone who works at USC is eligible for membership, so reach out to them as well. Thank you all for your time. I'm going to pass it on to the next speaker.
Thank you so much, Carrie, and a lot of great resources. I personally take advantage of some of them, and it's fantastic. So make sure you check out these resources. And finally, Dr. Cindy Ryan from the Workwell Center.
Thank you so much, everyone. So wonderful and educational. And I think what we're looking at is how we build wellness into our ways of life, that we have a mission. We want to be grounded with a sense of security through planning and organizing to anticipate our needs so that we can make healthy choices and healthy decisions. And when I look at that, I think, yes, we are in really changing times and to think strategically, but let's look at the well-being, healthy habit approach, that we need to look at this in the 3 or 4 measures that we have to create a sense of well-being while we are making decisions. If we're stressed, if our adrenaline is going high, we're more likely maybe to make a reactive decision rather than thinking about how do we keep a sense of calm? How do we use breathing, stress management, walking, meditating, in order to keep our body grounded and ready to make decisions. Our mind, how do we want to build and cultivate optimistic thinking? It's natural to worry, and oftentimes we worry and we forget that it's really a protective measure. It's the way we think in order to think of how we take care of ourselves, and yet it can activate fears. So you can utilize that sense of fear as what is that? Is there energy in that realm that you can use? Can you begin to think of plan A, plan B? Look at something that you may want to put into action and have something you can do. Make a call to a financial planner. Sit down and crunch some numbers. There's things that we can do that help us kind of ground again and think forward into where we want to build a sense of security. Look at our spirit, our philosophy of living. Sometimes when we reach these pivotal moments of how are we going to manage and juggle all of these things, it prompts us to think about how we want to live. What do we want to value? Do we value things, or maybe we need to value time with family, time with friends, getting back to simplifying what we actually need. Is it really a need or a want? And how we discern that. And ultimately, where do we want to build a sense of community? Within our families, within our schools, within our friends. Where do we want to build a community that also fulfills those values and nurtures us and allows us to be in a positive mindset in order to go forward and plan ahead? And that education and knowledge is the power of knowing what to do, that can be so much a part of building positive mental health. And there are many systems out there that give us tools and strategies. So think about us and our website, because we offer the personal counseling, support, consultation. These are normal, healthy life changes that we all experience, and we can learn and grow together. So we're there for you, and call anytime. Thanks, Julie.
Great. Thank you so much, Cindy. Let's see here. We have a few minutes for Q&A. If anyone has any questions you want to ask any of the speakers based on today's content, that would be great. We do have a question that came in here, direct to me. Anyone could address this question. So earlier it was mentioned that these are turbulent times, and the person states that turbulent is an understatement. How can we make any plans for the future when it feels like there is no future for us ants? So planning, any thoughts on that?
Well, I'll just tell you very personally, we all have our parents and our generations who've all had stages of their lives where there was just so much change. My parents went through World War II and a depression, and there were times when it did seem like, how do we make do? And maybe it helps us turn toward our loved ones, talk about those times, share what were those experiences like? What did they learn? My grandmother had to have a ration book and peel off stamps to get food. There were different times in all of our generations where we were challenged to find out what we need to do to make from maybe we find a food co-op, what maybe we find a connection with our neighbors, where we support one another. I think we look at it like, where do we draw upon community? We may not have all the answers yet, but we learned from COVID that we came up with a lot of innovative ways that we could cope and adjust and make it through. So I just believe in that, live your values, build on that, and know your strength. That's kind of how I see that. I don't know if that helps or not, but we're with you on that one.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. Of course, taking that approach you mentioned earlier, right? Looking at the mind, body, spirit, and community is so helpful. Anyone else want to react or respond?
I would just add, I am sure what's top of mind often when we think about the turbulence is our finances. And it's true, we don't know what the stock market's going to do next week. We don't know what the interest rates are going to do next year. But don't underestimate the power of intentionality, even just in planning, in thinking about what your goals are, um, what your um, thoughts are around what you want your future to look like. And that's going to give you a lot of peace of mind. Even if you can't figure out the numbers exactly, without any kind of blueprint, you're just going to be constantly swirling. And I'm saying this as much from being older as I am from being a person at TIAA. There's a lot to be said for just taking time to be intentional and to think about what your life goals are, what your financial goals are, what your family goals are. And I think that's going to help you feel a little bit of a sense of control, even as things are out of our control.
And I would just build off of that, I totally echo Cindy and Anne's points. And I think that the power of a plan and education and information is more important than ever, even if you are not yet ready for whatever reason to take action towards that savings goal to the extent you'd like to. We spend a lot of time thinking about young adults' financial behaviors and how do I balance building up an emergency savings with my student loans. And it's small steps and consistent steps and giving yourself the power of information so that when you're ready to make a decision, you have a plan, you have a vision, and you're able to act on it. And you give yourself grace if you're not there yet, that you know you have the plan in place and the information to take action when you are ready.
Great tips, Anne and Emily. It's like we all plan for our physical health, right? Making time to exercise, preparing what we need. We do that for our mental health, but sometimes we don't do that for our financial health. So very, very similar education, awareness, and starting somewhere.
Right.
Great.
I also would encourage people to remember that success, I think overall, is not in timing the market, but time in the market. And accumulation over time, both ups and downs, have always occurred. So I just encourage you to read some books on investments, not on Wiley schemes, but long-term investing and wealth accumulation. They all refer to time as your best friend, time. So looking at the immediate whirlwind may not give us hope, but there is hope if you look at history and future. We've gone down and we've gone up before, and we'll go up before, and we'll do it again, and it's just part of the process or the dance.
Yeah, great advice. And if there's any other questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Is there someone else wanting to say something? Speaking of time, Debbie, how early should someone start looking at a retirement income planner that you talked about? Do you have a suggested age that people should start looking at that annually?
I think as you approach retirement and you're 3 to 5 years out, you're working on your asset accumulation your whole life, and you're working with your broker, and you're estimating, or if you're working with a broker, you are generally, or your advisors, you're getting an idea of what you would like, what kind of income you'd like to have in retirement. But to actually start fine tuning and tweaking and saying, when am I actually going to retire? How much do I actually have to save? I would wait till you're 1 to 3 years out, because as you get closer, it becomes more relevant and more realistic of what your income challenges are, and what you're going to do to retire. Many people move, some people sell their assets. So there are just a variety of things that people do that you don't know until you get closer to retirement. So I would say 1 to 3 years.
Great, great. It doesn't hurt to look at what's generated. Yeah. Great. Okay. Anything else while we have everyone here on the line, our financial wellness experts? Any last minute questions?
I'm just going to use a minute here to underscore again. I think that's, Debbie, thanks for your comments about looking at a retirement income illustration. But I would also encourage people to look at the compound interest calculator. I think when you really see what putting away, $100 every 2 months when you're 25, what that can grow to by the time you're 65 versus waiting till you're 45 to start, just seeing the numbers and how they grow with time, I think can be a great motivator and help people to get started. And again, starting at 45 is better than starting at 65. Starting at 55 is better than starting at 70. And seeing the power of compound interest is powerful. The other thing you might look at, the Society of Actuaries has a calculator on their website, which is just soa.org, I think. But if you just Google Society of Actuaries, it's kind of a fun tool that allows you to put in a few basic facts about yourself and or a partner, and it'll tell you a longevity estimate for you to kind of give you a sense of, well, how long really might I live based on these short answers to a short set of questions. So the longevity calculator and a compound interest calculator and the retirement illustration tool, I think, are all things that are worth doing and can just be, again, motivating.
And can you put those calculators in the chat? I think that might be helpful, the longevity and the other one you mentioned.
Sure,
And then I also have a question here. What are the benefits of consolidating different accounts with one vendor?
I can talk about this. I think that the benefits really are across USC's plans is that when you look at our fund lineup, most of our vendors have the same funds. So you're not getting a whole lot of difference between vendors. There are some of our vendors who have very specialized funds that you might be interested in. And I encourage you to meet with each of them to discuss what those are. Especially as you get towards retirement and required minimum distribution age, and you think about taking withdrawals from 3 different places, and the fact that our plans are ERISA regulated and you have to get notarized spousal consent if you're married on all of those withdrawals, it's a lot to handle. And personally, when I envision my retirement, I don't dream of doing a lot of paperwork to get money. So sometimes having all of your vendors consolidated into one is a really great plan. But if there are offerings from certain vendors that you like and prefer over other vendors, you may think about spreading that out a little bit to take advantage of the different funds or different offerings that the vendors have. But I encourage you to look into that with each vendor. All of our vendors will consult with you for free to look at the fund lineup and what's available as far as their offerings.
Thank you, Carrie. And this question may be more appropriate for Carrie or Fernando, but someone is asking if there could be a brief explanation of some recent updates to the retirement fund lineup. There was an article on updates to enhance your financial retirement fund lineup that was in the employee gateway.
Excellent. Yes. Recently, USC was able to change over some of our funds, and the Retirement Oversight Committee goes through the funds once a quarter, looks at them, and determines, is this the best thing for our employees and our participants? What would be better? They have a broker sitting in who knows all the investment lineups and advises them, and they vote on making changes to the fund lineup so that you're getting the most bang for your buck in that retirement plan. Hopefully, nothing's ever guaranteed there. And so recently, yes, USC did adopt some new funds in the 401A and 401K that you can check out across the vendors and the funds lineup on the gateway.
Great. And what is the cost of managing for your retirement funds from TIA, Vanguard, and Fidelity? Is there a fee?
There are fees. They are quite minimal, and every vendor is different, and you'll see them in different ways on your statements. If you have questions about that or you're not finding the fees on your statement, we can help you to look at that together and show you where the fees are charged. So each vendor is different and you can see it differently. And so if you have questions about that specifically, we can go over that with you in with a meeting with our retirement planning specialist.
Great. And then we had a comment here as a reminder, Work Well also serves retirees. So for any mental health support needed. Okay, these are all the questions we have. So I will forward on to the next slide, our final slide, and say thank you to everyone. It was a pleasure to have you all attend our entire series. We look forward to a future series. There is an evaluation form. If you can please fill that out, there's a chance to win a raffle prize, but we also want your feedback for future topics. What would you like to see from our financial wellness series for next year? Please tell us. Those attending will earn 50 points towards your Vitality Health Incentive Program. And if you view a recording, if a recording is available, you'll also earn 35 points. And there's nothing you need to do on your end. We submit your name to our to our vendor. So with that, recorded sessions will be posted on the same webpage that you registered. This recording today won't be posted until next week. And we'll also send an email out with the PDF of today's slides, as well as the link to the recording next week. And I'll stop sharing so that Sam can spin the wheel for our lucky raffle winner. And we'll be in touch with you to coordinate delivery of your raffle prize. Okay, let's see who our lucky winner is. And thank you everyone for attending and being here today. Dawn Kita, congratulations, Dawn.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for being here and be well, and we'll see you at future health and well-being programs.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our